G'day guys, welcome back to the Thirsty Mason. Today we're going to be talking about champagne because today is Mother's Day, and on Mother's Day it would be nice to go out, splurge a little bit and buy that bottle of champagne for mum. Only issue is I understand that in the world sometimes you can't be dropping $60 on a bottle of Verve. Alright, dropping your 55 on a bottle of mum. But you want to go out, you want to enjoy your life, you want to at least try what the hype is about. What makes champagne champagne. Alright? So we're going to be looking at budget champagne today. I'll be explaining to you why budget champagne is the price that it is, and how they can compete, and why it is an excellent product. I'll be looking at Bichot, and I'll be looking at Monsigny. Monsigny is a exclusive champagne signed to Aldi. You can only buy it at Aldi. Bichot, I've only found literally on a whim about 2 days ago. Both of these are under $40. Bichot sits, at least from what I can see, at about $30. And the Monsigny also sits at around $34. But this is a very, very interesting limited release Monsigny, where they are using plots of the Premier Cru vineyards. So allow me to explain to you how they can put out price points like this on the market. If you had watched my champagne versus sparkling video, I went into some serious detail about the method of creating champagne, le méthode champenoise. But I never ever truly delved into the quality markers that make high-end champagne what it is. So, the reason that these grapes, or these champagnes, are of this price point, which is lower than $50, is because they are not using Premier Cru or Grand Cru vineyards. That is what makes this Monsigny so interesting, because they're sitting at $37 and they're stating that they're using Premier Cru grapes. Is there a major flavor difference between the entry-level grapes and a true Premier Cru vineyard? I already opened this up to enjoy with breakfast with my mother, and then I sealed it off with one of these beautiful champagne sealing caps. You should really invest into one if you enjoy your champers, to maintain its bubbles for a longer period of time. However, don't go expecting it to last more than 2 days. After that, carbon dioxide disappears and you're just dealing with a very, very good quality wine. Now, the way champagne works is, once upon a time, champagne couldn't actually afford to compete in on even a local scale against Burgundy, who could produce Pinot Noir and Chardonnay of a much higher grade. It's because the soil over there wasn't as all that great, and the laws for land ownership in France is very, very, very strict. No one wants to give up their land, and as a result, prime plots of land can only hold up to maybe a half acre of the greatest quality grapes you've ever tasted. So in order for champagne houses to produce, there have to be alliances with certain vineyards. And so every vineyard has its own government recognized quality. So there's villages, which is the base wine. It's good enough for everyday table wine. Premier Cru is your $50 to $60 bottles of wine. Grand Cru can go fetch you something up to $700. For example, Dom Perignon tends to use only Premier and Grand Cru grapes in order to make even the entry-level wines. Hence the insane price, plus the prestige, all that kind of stuff. So that's why Bichot and Monsigny can come and actually compete on the champagne market. It's because they're not going straight to the Premier and Grand Cru vineyards. They're usually sticking to the villages. However, due to the extremely strict laws on production for champagne, you are forced to bottle a quality product, because There are laws stating how much juice can be actually extracted from the grape. Alright, the method Champenois has to be followed every single time. Alright, there is a lot of care being administered to these wines, even on the lower end of the market. So let's taste the Monsigny. No, let's taste the Bicolt. I'll unseal it for now. And this is entry level champagne. We'll be inspecting it, looking for the characteristics, for the variety. And I'm not tossing any of this out because it's champagne and I adore champagne. Alright. Bubbles are ideal. Fast, aggressive, but plentiful, showing true bottle fermentation. Sometimes you get fast, aggressive bubbles that create a huge amount of foam on top. And then they just disappear almost instantaneously. This has been sitting for almost 24 hours. We had breakfast at 10 a.m. and then we're now sitting at about 8 p.m. and we've still got this degree of sparkle on the wine. Only true bottle fermentation can do that. Alright? Very, very, very clean. Absolutely no sediment left in it. Oh, smell of lemon meringue pie. Baked, sweet, lemony, zangy. Champagne. You can't deny its quality. At $30 a bottle, it is still producing that level and that degree of class. And that's from Villagers Wines. Oh, it's giving you exactly what you're asking for. It's so clean. Acid is so unbelievably balanced. It doesn't taste sour. Everything is just a perfect little package. Bubbles pop on the tongue gently. I'm getting that beautiful, beautiful flavor of all the citrus. And in the back, I'm getting that beautiful brioche characteristic that states true bottle fermentation. Bottle fermentation has this insane, insane level of yeastiness and bakedness and it's umptuous, like croissants. Croissants and fruits and like just crisp, cold acidity. Champagne needs to be served cold. Don't get me wrong, there are those that will argue that you can truly pick up on the characteristics of the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay the more it warms up. But who wants to sacrifice that beautiful crisp bubbliness, that coldness on the palate for, that minuscule amount of flavor enhancement? I would take this cold over warming it up any day of the week. And that's me, who is a freak for the nose and a freak for the subtlety. Champagne is in itself its own product, and it should be enjoyed the way that it was intended to be enjoyed. Teeth shatteringly cold. It's unreal. Oh yeah. Okay, while we're here, I'm going to start opening and decanting. Well, not decanting. Just popping out and letting a little bit of oxygen get into this Monsigny. So we can test out if Premier Cru truly makes that much of a difference in the overall drinking experience. Or whether you should just stick, if you are going to go for the cheaper ranges, just stick to the cheaper price point. I can't imagine how they are producing a Premier Cru wine for only about $6 difference from its base range. Its base range sits at about $32. This is about $38 or $39. So I truly just want to see it. Like, what is it that he's doing? Let's pop this open. Also, when you come to pop a champagne, hold on to it and then twist the bottle. Don't try to twist the cork. You get more leverage here, and you should only just release it once it's almost halfway through. You just want to tilt the cork. Simple. No explosions, no loss of champagne. It's a sin to waste champagne. Alright, beautiful. Okay, this is more interesting. I notice that first and foremost, alright, bubbles haven't changed. It's just as aggressive, just as lovely. Okay, it's slightly more aggressive on this one because it's freshly popped. Whereas the other one had been sitting for 24 hours and it still had that beautiful voluptuous bubble. But the other variable is the color. This has a lot more color in it. Okay, so I believe that both of these are traditional champagnes, meaning that it is 60% Pinot Noir to 40% Chardonnay. If you are not a fan of that characteristic of Pinot Noir where it's quite solidly like dominant on flavor, I would suggest Blanc de Blanc, white from white, because that is exclusively Chardonnay grapes. And it ends up yielding a much velvetier, lighter experience on the palate. But I feel like you lose out heaps. Let me just seal this off with the George Jensen sealer. I don't want to lose any of that beautiful carbon dioxide. Alright. Oh wow. They really bump up that yeastiness, that beautiful, beautiful warm bread smell. Holy moly, it smells far more elegant. Like, I'm genuinely happy to drop a couple extra dollars. Because ultimately it's still less than 40. How they're letting out a Premier Cru at the price point of a introductory level house blend champagne from any of the major houses is beyond me. Oh, unbelievable nose. Let's try this. Oh, that's a yum. It's a bit more sweeter on the entry. The acid isn't dominating like the previous. Here's the problem. Until you've tried the previous, you wouldn't understand the jump up. This creamier. This, whereas previously it tasted like almost citric acid, a lemon alternative, the jar. This tastes like lemon zests, fresh and like zangy and really, really, really fragrant. Like the jump up is so subtle, but that subtlety is where true class lives. You get me? Oh, absolutely delightful. Really, really, really classy. I'm very impressed by the Monsigny. The Monsigny has buckets and buckets and buckets of character. But do I prefer it over a Mumm? It's an interesting question. It has its merits. You can tell the quality is there. I refuse to believe that this is all Premier Cru. I reckon that maybe it's about 50 to 55% Premier Cru grapes. Because 100% Premier Cru, you could not afford to put it on the market for that price. All the Aldi stores were making a significant loss. Alright? But there is some in there. Definitely. There's no word of a lie. The quality is there. Oh, yum. However, a Mumm Cordon Rouge also sits at about $55. It doesn't have any Premier Cru grapes in it, and it yields a nicer drinking experience. Meaning that the Premier Cru title on this is not necessarily all that important in the grand scheme of it. However, the price is. I am going to go and buy a case of this tomorrow, if they still happen to have some on the shelves. But that's just, that's purely because, alright, the price point versus the quality I'm getting in the glass is worth it. This is a $55 champagne being sold at under 40. That's class, alright? That's something quite significant. Unreal. Awesome. That's champagne at under $50. Not very many on the market. There's one called Louis Auger. Louis Auger can also be found in most Dan Murphy's. And you can also buy half bottles, but really, who's drinking half a bottle of champagne? Anyway, guys, this is a toast to all the mothers in the world. Happy Mother's Day. You carried us when we were younger, and in our old age, we will carry you. God bless.